A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for staying on the JoyNews channel. This is JoyNews Today with me, Bernice Abubeidou-Lansah. In our headlines, President Akufo-Addo slams former President John Mahama as irresponsible for his comments about packing the judiciary with pro-NDC judges in a future NDC-led government. He describes it as dangerous. We have more from the 2023 Bar Conference, where the president has been touting his government's fight against corruption. Also in this package, Electoral Commission hit with 2 more suits over its plan to hold the upcoming limited voters registration exercise at its district offices instead of at the electoral area level. And Chairman of Parliament's Adhoc Committee probing the leaked IGP tape expresses shock over withdrawn interdiction by the Ghana Police Service. He describes it as an attempted interference into their work.
In fact, if they knew that they could be interdicted, they won't come and testify. So if we are not careful, you are on the verge of interfering witnesses, blackmailing them or intimidating them.
We have more as he reveals the IGP has been invited to appear before the committee tomorrow. We've got details of these, including medical student survives 7 suicidal attempts as Ghana marks Suicide Prevention Day. We've also got business, sports, world news and showbiz in this hour. Please stay with us. It's a pleasure to have you here. We are live on DSTV, Gold TV and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The details now. President Akufo-Addo has described as irresponsible and dangerous former President Mahama's comments that a future NDC government will pack the judiciary with NDC-aligned judges to balance the composition of the court. Mr. Mahama's assertions follow his belief that the current government has appointed more than 80 NPP-aligned judges in a bid to tilt the decisions of the court in their favor. Listen to him.
Currently, the judiciary is packed with NPP inclined judges because this government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people on the bench. It's more than 80 towards 100 and counting. He's packed the courts. And we know that they've packed the courts because they want to avoid accountability after they have left office. And so all manner of people who are known to have been partisan, to have been executives of their party, who are in the legal profession, are being leapfrogged into the superior courts and other places. We must be prepared as NDC legal persons to also go onto the bench so that we can balance out, the judiciary. And so I encourage some of you to look at careers on the bench so that we can balance out what the current situation is.
Now, speaking at the 2023 Bar Conference in Cape Coast, President Akufo-Addo described the comments as not only irresponsible but dangerous.
Appointments to the lower courts, the High Court, and the Court of Appeal are done by the President exclusively on the advice of the Judicial Council. In the case of appointments to the Supreme Court, because of its unique position in our judicial structure, there are the additional requirements of the consultation of the Council of State and the approval of Parliament. In the overwhelming number of cases of justices designate to the Supreme Court, that approval has been given on a bipartisan basis. You can count on the fingers of a hand the number of justices designate whose approval meant less than unanimous consent. I've gone into this matter in some detail because of a new concept that has been recently introduced into our public discourse by no less a public figure than the 4th President of the 4th Republic, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, who has told the world that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key purposes of a putative NDC victory in 2024 will be to enable him balance the courts with so-called NDC judges. Not only are these concepts of, quote, MPP and, quote, NDC judges new in our public discourse, they are also extremely dangerous and represent the most brazen attack on the independence of the judiciary by an allegedly responsible politician of the Fourth Republic. They provide another reason, if more were needed, why right-thinking citizens should ensure the defeat in 2024 of the man whom the first special prosecutor identified as government official number one in the still unresolved Airbus bribery scandal.
So speaking on the issue of partisanship perception of the judiciary, the president of the Ghana Bar Association, lawyer Yao Ichampo Boafo, said that members of the profession must work at resisting any attempt by politicians to taint them. We'll be bringing you more on that. But away from comments about the judiciary, President Akufo-Addo has also been touting his government's fight against corruption. According to him, his government is committed to the fight, and he cited numerous cases currently before the courts.
None of the accountability institutions of state, including the new Office of Special Prosecutor, have ever indicated any pressure from the executive over their investigations. There are some who refuse to accept my method of proceeding and have characterized me as a clearing agent. Because for them, the mere allegation without more is enough to merit condemnation of the public official. For my part, I will not set aside due process in the fight against corruption, no matter how much opprobrium this incurs for me. With a clear understanding that corruption thrives in an atmosphere conducive to its concealment, and that access to information is a vital tool in the fight against corruption, my government in its first term ensured the passage of the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 9989, in order to give true meaning and effect to the provisions of Article 21, Clause 1, Subclause F of the Constitution. The Act, which successive governments had failed to pass, sees to the implementation of the constitutional right to information held by a public institution, to foster a culture of transparency and accountability in public affairs, subject to exemptions necessary and consistent with the protection of the public interest in a democratic society.
And that was President Akufo-Addo speaking a while ago at the 2023 Ghana Bar Conference. This is News Today. The Electoral Commission has been slapped with 2 more suits over its limited voters registration exercise scheduled for tomorrow. 5 political parties led by the NDC have already filed an interlocutory injunction to restrain the EC from proceeding with the announced exercise pending the substantive matter of which date for the hearing is expected to be determined today. The parties disagree with the EC's decision to restrict centers of voters' registration to their district offices. They argue this will disenfranchise many first-time voters. Kweku Asante of our legal desk joins with details of the latest suit against the EC. Kweku, so who are these 2 individuals who filed the suit against the EC's limited registration exercise?
So, Ben, it's the first of these 2 more actions that have been filed against the Electoral Commission has been filed by Ayita Precious. The second one is Agbenato Mercy. The 2 of them are all 18-year-olds who are now expected to register for the first time to be voters. And they contend that if you look at the specifics of the Electoral Commission's modalities to conduct the voter registration exercise, that will disenfranchise them. In fact, if you look at the suit that has been filed by Agbenato Mercy, and this one has been filed in the Ohio High Court, it says that She resides at Wulitoji in the Volta region of the Republic, and that is about 34 kilometers from the district office of the Electoral Commission, using the mountainous footpath in over 100 kilometers using the Leklebi Parliament, and involves going through the Republic of Togo by road. And she insists that this will virtually make it impossible for her to be able to register, and so is asking the High Court to ask the Electoral Commission to decentralize the process to the electoral area level. If you look at the other one by Aita Precious, she also talks about where she lives and how it will be difficult to access the EC district office. She talks about her house to the district office being 37.5 kilometers using the Akosombo-Accra Road, and she has filed her action in the Tema High Court. So these two actions, one in the Volta region, one here in the Greater Accra region, coming on the back of that action that had already been filed by the NDC, seeking to ask the court to injunct the Electoral Commission and order it to decentralize the process.
Yeah, and Kweku, we know that the court is yet to decide the date for hearing this interlocutory injunction that you just referred to. Has a day been set now?
Well, the NDC filed that action last week, Thursday, and they said that to their surprise, the registrar of the court at the Supreme Court asked them to wait till today before their date will be known. According to the registrar, and this is the NDC reporting this, the Chief Justice had ordered him to stamp down on initiating any process to set up the date for that hearing, and they're expecting to hear that today. We know that the Chief Justice had traveled. She has since returned, but is currently in Cape Coast, where the Ghana Bar Conference is ongoing. As of now, the NDC officials that we've been talking to have not confirmed to us any new dates. Mind you, this process by the Electoral Commission is expected to commence tomorrow. And if you cannot even get a date to hear interlocutory injunction, then the Electoral Commission will go ahead, and then it will be very difficult to get a court to make any order against them. So NDC officials, as we speak, are still working with the registry of the court to get a date to at least ask the Electoral Commission to put on hold the registration exercise until that determination has been made.
Kweku Asante, thank you. That's Kweku Asante of our legal desk here at Joy News. To some other stories now, the interdiction of key witnesses was an affront to democracy. That's Atachia, the chairman of the Adhoc Committee investigating the alleged plot against the IGP. Now, this was his reaction to the Ghana Police's decision to interdict the three chiefs who appeared before the committee. The police officers are key witnesses in that purported scheme to remove Dr. George Akufo-Addo as IGP. Even though the decision to interdict them was reversed almost immediately, Mr. Atachia believes the decision appeared as though the witnesses were being intimidated. He spoke to MFA Apau on the probe.
I was very much surprised because, you see, when people have elected to testify on oath and on their own volition, they do not have any sword hanging on their heads. That, I mean, if you come here and you tell the truth, I mean, the powers that be might interdict you. In fact, if they knew that they could be interdicted, they wouldn't come and testify. So if we are not careful, you are on the verge of interfering witnesses, blackmailing them or intimidating them. Because if the other police officers who should come before the committee to testify, and we have this clear understanding that, oh, if you open your mouth now, you'll be interdicted, then the committee will be deprived of the benefit of witnesses who help us and aid us to come to the conclusions in terms of the findings of fact and the rest of it. So it was very, very serious.
Did we see that as more like an interference of the job of the committee?
No dispute about it. It was a raw and direct interference with what the committee was attempting to do. Because we depend on these witnesses to work. If you care to know, it is their testimonies that we are supposed to listen in total and get to some conclusion. The people who were purported to have been interdicted were in the middle, or if you like, the beginning of their testimony. Is it an attempt to blackmail them into keeping silent? Do you want to gag them with the fear of they being dealt with if they speak some more? And what is the interdiction supposed to achieve? When a committee of parliament has invited them, they didn't come to the committee on their own volition. They are obeying the powers of an arm of government as enshrined in the Constitution.
Mr. Atachia also took the opportunity to settle the matter on whether the IGP would appear before the committee.
On Tuesday, all the individuals who had done what I would call the preliminary talking on oath. Yes.
George Mensah.
Yes.
Emmanuel JB.
Yes.
George Asare.
Sure, the four of them. They should come back with their lawyers. And also, the most prominent person whose name is being bandied about, the IGP himself. So the IGP himself should also come with his lawyers.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
An invitation has been sent to him already?
We've sent every invitation to all those who matter. We're giving them all the videos that we have transcribed on paper. You're giving the transcription to them. We've also done what is very, very needful. All the proceedings captured so far, we've given it to them so that they will know who said what and who said what before they appear before us.
Why specifically do you need the IGP in all this? Really?
Well, because grave allegations have been made against him. Grave, of serious consequences. And I kept telling people that the committee is not the forum to appoint an IGP.
Trust us to follow this keenly and bring you all the updates. Now, some cocoa farmers in the Ashanti region are convinced that the new producer price of cocoa will discourage smuggling of the commodity to neighboring countries, as well as the exchange of arable farmlands for illegal mining. President Akufo-Addo over the weekend announced a new upward adjustment for the cash crop from 800 to 1,308 cedis per bag. The price increase is the highest witnessed across West Africa in the last 15 years. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku has more.
For many years, cocoa farming communities on Ghana's fringes are reportedly known to smuggle cocoa beans to neighboring countries, mainly Ivory Coast and Togo. A perennial problem that has cost the country large quantities of cocoa beans for exports. Ghana's recent economic meltdown, coupled with the craze to excavate gold by artisanal miners, have also contributed significantly to the loss of arable cocoa farmlands. Reports suggest that in the 2022-2023 crop year alone, Ghana lost 1,150,000 metric tons of beans to smuggling and illegal mining. Speaking at the opening of the 2023-2024 cocoa season, Food and Agric Minister Brian Champon bemoaned the activities of smugglers.
There have been several reports of smuggling of cocoa from Ghana to our neighboring countries, and this has contributed adversely to the country's production capacity. The sad part of this unfortunate situation is that the individuals who are engaged in this nefarious act of smuggling are neither the farmers nor cocoa board who have contributed to the production of the cocoa, but rather private merchants who regrettably contribute absolutely nothing to the country's production capacity.
A primary reason fueling the seemingly unending act was the huge cost differential between the countries. In tackling the menace, the Ghanaian and Ivorian governments adopted and implemented the living income differential to cushion farmers against low international market price. President Akufo-Addo says the scheme has increased the average income of farmers.
One of the first decisions that I took as President of the Republic was to sign a strategic partnership agreement with the great President of the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, His Excellency Alassane Ouattara, which united the cocoa sectors of the two nations and helped us tackle common challenges in the industry. This cooperation has already yielded good results for the industry, as we've been able to adopt and implement the living income differential, LID. The LID has increased the average farmer's income by $700 United States per ton.
Under the theme Securing Decent Incomes for Cocoa Farmers, the opening of the new crop season saw the government announce a historic 63.5% upward adjustment on the price of cocoa. A bag of cocoa would now go for 1,308 cedis, while a ton sells at 20,948 cedis. For a number of farmers, the new price would improve their livelihoods as it discourages smuggling and exchange of farmlands for illegal mining. The price was initially good in Cote d'Ivoire, but I doubt any farmer would smuggle cocoa to the country given the new price adjustments.
From now onwards, the pruning, the hand pollination, all the agronomic practices, we are going to make sure that it is being done well so that the production will be increased.
The government, meanwhile, says it remains committed to eliminating cocoa smuggling. Brian Champon again.
I only have one assurance to give to the nation. I will not disappoint Ghanaians in our quest to stop smuggling. Where I am from, we will say, Afi, cocoa smuggling, Yebehe.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Well, in the last couple of hours, former President John Dramani Mahama has been reacting to the latest increase in the price of cocoa. He's described it as a rip-off of the toils of the cocoa farmer. Here is a full detail of the statement he shared on his Facebook wall. NPP's cocoa pricing. Well, smoke and mirrors, deception. The just announced increase in the farm gate price of cocoa by government is a rip-off of our hard-working cocoa farmers and their families who continue to sustain our economy through their toil. With international market price of cocoa surging to a 46-year record high of $3,600, government should have given our cocoa farmers their fair share of the international FOB price. Sadly, the government has chosen to give them a paltry 1,308 Ghana cedi per bag, which constitutes only 52.7% of the FOB price of the product on the international market. This is unfair to our cocoa farmers who've been worse off since the NPP took over the reins of government in 2017. In 2016, my government, in addition to the free fertilizer and free cocoa seedlings program, gave cocoa farmers 66.06% of the FOB price of cocoa. This NPP administration should have built on this foundation. They've rather increased the operational expenses of Cocoa Board and reduced the international FOB share for the farmers. Cocoa farmers certainly deserve better, and that's how he ends that statement he shared on his Facebook wall. Let's head to Parliament now, and the minority has given a signal of going ahead with a planned protest against governors of the Bank of Ghana tomorrow, despite some setbacks by the police. According to them, although they've compromised their routes, the police is still bent on thwarting their efforts. Addressing the media after a meeting with the police, Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Kufuor said they'll go ahead with the protest, but will use a new route.
They invited us to come here at 10 o'clock. We're here 5 minutes before 10. They held us for close to 30 minutes before the meeting started. And when the meeting started, we all agreed that there were 3 issues. One, they have never been opposed to us embarking on a protest march. The issues that they had, which they articulated in their affidavit, which they filed in court, were 1, they are afraid of a military coup. 2, that we're going to pass through Makola Market and they had objections. And 3, that our destination is a security zone. We told them we are not unreasonable people. As for the coup, we don't prevent coups. The military are there, they should go and resolve those issues with them. But we have a right to demonstrate, and we will demonstrate. We have an issue with the central bank, and we'll go to the central bank. So let's deal with their first issue, which is the route. So we went back to the route that they initially proposed, which is that we should start from Obra Spot, go through Adebraka, and then their initial termination point was Independence Square. So we said, okay, we are accepting your route. We'll start from Obra Spot, we'll go through Adebraka, pass through Ridge Roundabout, and then go and pass through the National Theatre, and then hit the Atamils Highway, and then head towards the Bank of Ghana building. 2, and they agreed. They agreed to the route. Okay? Then we said the second. So once there's agreement on the route, let's resolve the third issue, which is the termination point. You are saying we should turn and go and terminate at Independence Square. We say no. We don't have an issue with the independence of Ghana. Our issue is with the Bank of Ghana. So we must go in the direction of the Bank of Ghana.
MP Mahama Yariga there speaking with us after that meeting with the police. Politician Bernard Mona walked out of that meeting. He's accusing the police of frustrating the demonstration against the Bank of Ghana under the guise of national security issues.
Regional Command has wasted our 2.5 hours here because they have to take instructions from above. And I think that this is the height of a breakdown in our institutions in this nation. That the regional police commander cannot take a decision to tell the people where the security zone of the Bank of Ghana ends. We, on our part, has amended our route. We will change to start from Obra Square and go through the Adabraka, go through the Ministry Police Headquarters, and then come all the way to come and terminate at the Bank of Ghana. They say they have a problem because the Bank of Ghana is a security zone. So we have asked them, where is the end of the security threats to the Bank of Ghana so that we can terminate them? The regional commander has gone up and down, up and down. Now you are telling us that you don't even agree on the date for the protestation. I cannot waste my time in such a meeting.
Which date? Is it 12 scheduled?
Tomorrow is our demonstration. And that is what we were discussing for the past 2.5 hours. For you to come and tell us that you are not even certain about tomorrow. We are not kids. Who cares about court? If you file an application, is that to say that your application has been granted? So our lawyers can go and meet them at court to be discussing the application whilst we are also doing our protest. So to the best of our knowledge and to your knowledge, there is no injunction whatsoever on our protest.
Are you still going to go ahead for the
protest? Well, my other colleagues are there, but I cannot waste time with a police that cannot be straightforward.
Away from that planned protest against the Bank of Ghana governors, she gulped an antiseptic solution and did other things in a bid to end her life from her overwhelming academic load and inferiority complex. That's the story of 23-year-old medical student of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who survived 7 suicidal attempts. She recounts how it all started and her story of survival with Emmanuel Bright Kweku as Ghana marks World Suicide Prevention Day in Kumasi.
I didn't see the good in me. I didn't see my worth. So I said, why don't I just end it?
It all began when she moved from her preclinical studies to the more demanding clinical years at the medical school. The feeling of inferiority and the overwhelming academic load nearly pushed her to end it all. From drinking an antiseptic to running into unsuspecting motorists, Yamansa, as I choose to call her, survived 7 suicide attempts.
School was quite competitive. I wasn't doing well. People were going far ahead of me, so I felt there was no way that I would do as well as they would. And I just kept harboring the feelings and kept growing the feelings of me never going to make it so well. And I drank Dettol. The others were a couple of times was me trying to run into the road to get knocked down by an unsuspecting motorist. And then also another one was me trying to jump off a balustrade 2 stories down. And then the most recent, or let me say the last one, was me overdosing 10 times the dose of one of my routine medications.
Hers was to make people within her circle understand the troubles she endured.
At that point, I just wanted everything to end. I wanted to harm myself also, so that people would see that what I was going through was more painful than what they are seeing. And at the same time, after letting them see that, I also just wanted to end things and be free because I was going through too much.
Her story mirrors that of many victims of suicidal attempts across the country, especially tertiary students. In the last 2 months, at least 2 cases of suicide attempts in public universities have emerged on social media, with the latest involving a student of KNUST. In a video, the victim was seen attempting to jump off the balcony of a hostel for unknown reasons, but was swiftly saved by his mates. Their stories are 2 of the 614 attempted suicide cases recorded in Ghana in the last 7 months. Reports from the Ghana Health Service suggest 48 lives have so far been lost to suicide in 2023, with the youth forming majority of the numbers. At the 2023 commemoration of the World Suicide Prevention Day, Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority, Professor Penaman Apple, was worried about the increasing trend of suicide deaths.
At first, it was the older people who would die by suicide, but now the ages of 15 to 29, the numbers are increasing, and these are the age group that people are strong and they are working. So if they are taking their lives by suicide, then of course we have to be worried.
Low self-esteem, guilt, pessimism, and behavioral changes are few of the warning signs of suicide. As the 4th leading cause of deaths, suicide remains a global health concern, claiming more than 800,000 lives annually worldwide. Dr. Ruth Entry is president of the Psychiatry Association of Ghana.
People who attempt suicide have underlying mental health problem. That's about 90% of them. Out of the over 800,000 people that die by suicide yearly, about 77% are found in the middle and lower income country, like we are here in Ghana. And so we will need to pay more attention. People should be more caring. People should not stigmatize again people who are going through mental health challenges. People should be more open and more empathetic towards people. When you see someone change in attitude, when you see someone withdrawn, we should quickly pick the sign and get close to them rather than being judgmental.
Seeking mental health support is however plagued with a myriad of resource deficits affecting patients' care. Yamansa says the inadequate human resource and infrastructure stifles access to confidential care.
Because of the space that we have, the small size of the department, you have one doctor, one patient here, and then right beside another person. So there's not much confidentiality. A patient cannot share what they want to share. And it would really help if the medication is always available and is also subsidized. Sometimes you go to the pharmacy, oh doctor, they've written this medication for me to come for. It's not, they go outside and buy, and the drugs can be quite expensive.
Mental health stakeholders want infrastructural establishments expedited to enhance medical care to patients.
The psychiatry unit at Kufuor Teaching Hospital is being expanded, where very soon we'll get more than 7 consulting rooms so that patients can stay in those consulting rooms alone with their doctor, alone with their mental health professional, and be able to voice out freely the help that they need. And I'll use this opportunity to send out the information, the contractor, whoever is in charge of our expansion, please speeding up work on it so that our work can be done effectively.
With the country seeing a significant increase in its suicide death cases, Ashanti Regional Director of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Emmanuel Kojotenkrang, is advocating a collective effort to fight the canker.
Suicide is unacceptable. There's a need for stakeholders to work together. Mental Health Authority
cannot work alone. We must put effort together to fight the menace. For the many Ghanaian youth contemplating suicide, Yamansa has a message for you.
Tomorrow has a higher chance of being better than today, but how would we know if we don't live to find out? Right now I feel good, much better.
The 2023 World Suicide Prevention Day was on the theme Creating Hope Through Action. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
And here in our studios at Kokumlemle and Bernice Abubeidulansa, we take a quick breather now. Pius Abaka is standing by with the latest from the world of business. Do stay.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Players in the insurance sector in the West Africa sub-region are confident that developing a common West African financial framework will deepen insurance coverage in the sub-region. The Director of Financial Integration of the West African Monetary Institute, Suleiman Atoll, explained that harmonizing standards in the sub-region will increase insurance coverage across borders.
The 6th College of Insurance Supervisors of the West African Monetary Zone is a platform to harmonize and improve insurance practices across the West African region. The 6th College will seek to adopt Memorandum of Understanding between the various countries with a key focus on the Francophone blocs. The move is part of efforts to ensure the smooth transition into the use of a single currency by 2027. Director of Financial Integration of the West African Monetary Institute, WAMI, Suleiman Atoll, explains the need to ensure a synchronized system to boost penetration.
The penetration is still low, but it's not. I think you can do both. It's possible to do both. In country-wise and external, and also to open up the insurance sector, we can do both. But what is more important is really to harmonize. That's because we are going to have a single monetary zone, single currency, and then we need to harmonize everything, the rules. The rules need to be harmonized, so at least when you're in Nigeria, you're in Ghana, you're in Guinea, you know everything is the same. Now, for the development side, it's open. To me, it's really the operators. They know exactly where to go. We, as a regulator, the supervisor, and the state, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate environment for them to grow.
On the need to boost inter-African trade, Suleiman Atoll reiterated the importance of insurance in facilitating the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
The insurance sector's place in this free trade agreement is very important, because when you talk about trade, when you are sending your goods from one country to another, you need insurance. When you are traveling from one country to another, you need insurance. Everywhere you are engaging in trade or exchange, any type, you need insurance. So,
now, residents in the Keta municipality of the Volta region have commended MTN Ghana Foundation for its initiative to construct a modern maternity block for the Keta Municipal Hospital. The 60-bed capacity ultra-modern facility, when completed, will give relief to expectant mothers having to deliver their babies in a much more conducive environment and facility with all the modern facilities. Ivy Setoji has more.
Residents in Keta municipality of the Volta region have commended MTN Ghana Foundation for its initiative to construct a modern maternity block for the Keta Municipal Hospital. An international peace ambassador, Tobi Guba Tenge Sedu, who was part of the inspection team, noted that the project, which is the biggest ever constructed by MTN Ghana Foundation, will bring a lot of relief to the people, especially mothers, the Keta municipality and the region as a whole. He noted that the project will not only augment the infrastructure.
And that's all for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Marketplace is at 1 p.m.
Time now for sports on JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. President of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okriko, has urged the Black Stars to right the wrongs of the last edition of the African Cup of Nations after the senior national team secured a 10th consecutive qualification to the next AFCON tournament to be staged in Côte d'Ivoire. Ghana, in the last African Cup of Nations, exited the competition at the group stage with only a point, and President Okriko has charged the boys to ensure that in the next AFCON they will do better.
On behalf of the Football Association, I want to thank each one of you, from the head coach, the entire technical team, the captain, and the rest of the playing body. I thank you. We have made it, and it's a big plus for us. This is not the first time we've made it to the AFCON, but we needed to get Ghana there, and we are in. I go. Some few months ago, we were at the AFCON. It didn't work. And we said to ourselves, we would want another opportunity to make it work. You have made that opportunity come to us. So we have an opportunity to go to the AFCON to make it work. Let's keep that in mind. We want to go to the AFCON and make it work. Today, let's enjoy it because we've made it. Beyond today, let's start to think and look about at the bigger picture. Okay? Thank you very much, Andre, Jordan, the entire team. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's talk about the Paris Olympic qualifiers, and Ghanaian boxer Seth Jima, affectionately called Freezing McBones, lost out to Senegalese boxer Seydou Konaté. He's been speaking following that defeat. He says that he believed he was in a position to win the fight, but unfortunately it went the other way. He also noted the difference between amateur boxing and that of the professional level.
Everything that is 2 things involved. It's either win or lose, and I don't think anyone will go in the ring and feel like I'm going to lose this fight. I've been prepared for this fight. I've been in camp in London. I've been in camp in Accra, training with the Black Bombay squad, and we're all looking forward for this show. The game, the results I wanted, I couldn't get it. So, yeah. But it was a good, fight. I didn't get time to watch all over the fight, but I watched some piece of it, and I think for what I have seen, I think I could win the fight. I could win the fight because obviously pro boxer to amateur boxing is so many different. All right, in amateur boxing, it's more quick, more fast on your toes, on your feet. They want to see more punches than that. And I think if you look the way I was boxing, I took back of the of fundamental of boxing. I was being on my toes. I was being on my moving my head straight up. You know what I'm saying? I was doing all of that, but I gave him a standing count, 8 standing count for the first round. And they took a point of me. The reason being is that I just keep looking down. But like I said, it's a boxing. It's 2 things involved, either win or lose. And we're still learning, and we're still doing our best for the next fight.
Meanwhile, George Ofrie has filed an appeal against his disqualification to contest for the position of president of the Ghana Football Association. You can head to my JoyOnline.com and read the details of that stories.
Thanks for staying with us, and we are on the entertainment segment here on the main news bulletin and getting straight into it. I don't know if you've ever thought of having your favorite movie and watching it at the show with the sea breeze all over you. Well, that is what the patrons who were at the maiden edition of the movie at the show felt. And this is a report I quickly put together. It was a beautiful experience, and this is what they had to share.
I've never been to a sea or I saw movies. It's my first time. So I'll say it's amazing. It's a great feeling. And the feeling around is natural. Everything is natural. So I think people should be doing it every year.
Oh, it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. Your attitude, your smile, your face, and everything. Is it the film that did it for you, or is it ambience, or is it both?
Atmosphere, everything.
Okay.
It's been good. And the movie is one we could all relate to, so it's very good. The food is very good.
Do you think you would have had this experience if the two of you were not watching in the house?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. This is like a wonderful experience right now. We're actually having fun. Like, I mean, we are a lot here.
Yeah, I can see. The fun is real. Yeah. And those were views of excited patrons who were at the maiden edition of Movie at the Shore, an event organized by Sunwave Entertainment at the Bella Sun Club Beach Resort, where patrons watch movies at the seashore in a very relaxed open-air atmosphere. One of the organizers, Kufuor, who was attending to the patrons to make sure they were okay, said the turnout was beyond what they had anticipated, and also confirmed that the Movie at the Shore event will be a quarterly one.
So I'm feeling the rush because my friend showed up for me, and I am actually feeling the rush also because this turned out better than I expected it to be. So it's just, and I'm stressed because, you know, coordinating things up and down is not an easy thing. So all in all, I'm very grateful that this actually happened. So I've actually interacted with a couple of people. I've asked them how they are feeling about the setup, the movie, the whole environment, and they're like, oh, it's good. It's actually new, and we're actually excited to be here because, I mean, normally you have this enclosed space where you are watching movies with people, the place is dark and all, but this is something new. You're actually like outside with other people and you're like connecting with nature, you're enjoying the movie as well. So the feedback I'm getting is actually great. So yeah, I believe everybody's having fun.
How periodic is this going to be?
It's going to be once every 3 months.
So the next one is going to be in December. So if you missed out on this one, well, chillax. In December is going to be huge and it's going to be beautiful. Well, rapper EL is calling all Ghanaians' attention to the genre Azonto, saying that Azonto has too much content and we should actually focus on it to be able to push it to the global front. He says that every time he's at any event or festival and they play any Azonto song, the turnout is just amazing. This is what he had to say in an interview I had with him. On the global front, do you think Ghana has gotten the credit for Azonto?
Not yet. I think we did some good work with it, and that's why I'm excited to pick up or try and pick up where we left off, because I see the potential. Any song that you play at a festival, a show, or any concert or event, a Ghana show, when you put in Azonto, you see a switch in the energy. And I see it all the time, regardless of what kind of festival it is or what kind of event it is. So I have a lot of confidence in the sound, and that's why I'm spending time on trying to do something with it.
And that will be all for Showbiz. The name is Ibrahim Ben Bako.
Thank you so much for your company here on Joy News Today with me, Bernice Abubedu Lansa. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is the Marketplace with Pius Abaka. Have a good afternoon.